Rob, you were so close. So The Lords of Salem tells the story of a radio DJ in Salem, Massachusetts who is plagued by nightmarish visions of vengeful witches. What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another patron requested review. This one is requested by one of my newer patrons, Adam Nodler. He requested The Lords of Salem, which is a movie that's very interesting to me because despite all of my hate for pretty much all of Rob Zombie's movies, with the exception of the one that people tend to hate the most, Halloween 2, I don't know how that worked out. I remember watching The Lords of Salem when it first came out, and for whatever reason, I remember loving it until the third act, and then I remember not liking the movie at all. But I have no recollection of why, so I was really curious to jump back into this movie, figure out what it was that I didn't like about it, maybe watch it a second time, and actually like it the second time. Who knows, stranger things have happened. So, The Lords of Salem, is this the movie that brings me into the Rob Zombie fandom camp? No. Not yet. But before I get into why, let's talk about some of the positives of The Lords of Salem. And just as an overarching thing that I will say is my message for this movie, Rob Zombie is one of the most frustrating fucking directors that I have any visions of their movies whatsoever, because every single movie that I watch with this guy, there are some things that he does that he fucking nails, and I'm like, yes, keep doing that, you're on a roll. And there are so many things that he does continuously that just, it brings the movie down to fucking crumbs for me when I watch it. Now it's so frustrating because I've said for years, despite the fact that there is not a single Rob Zombie movie that I will say that I love, Halloween 2 is one that I like quite a bit, but there's none that I'm like, that is awesome. And it's because the guy has a phenomenal horror movie in him somewhere. He's got the vision, he's got the style, he's got the storytelling ability. I just feel like he needs to let some people help. He needs to let some people help him write, you know, give him some direction tips, tell him not to put that in the movie, tell him you should change and put this in the movie. He needs to kind of get a little bit more of a collaborative effort with some of the people in the studios. And I honestly think if he kind of lets some of his creative control go a little bit, Rob Zombie will deliver a phenomenal fucking horror movie. But The Lords of Salem's not it. But as far as the positives, I will say this is the best execution of tone and atmosphere and a sense of dread and just this pliable tension. That stuff that he puts into The Lords of Salem, he does awesome with.
Hi. Are you the new tenant?
Like when you're watching this is one of those things where I'm like, okay, if he just takes what he does great in this movie and mixes it with the things that he does great in The Devil's Rejects and a couple of the things that he did great in Halloween 2 and just, you know, put them in a little ball and just scramble them up and throw them on the screen, you're gonna get an awesome movie. The tension, the dread, the tone, the atmosphere, that shit is beautiful in The Lords of Salem. And I even like the score. The score to this movie is really creepy. You'd think a dude that is famous for music could at least nail that, and he does. There's a really creepy score in here, especially when they play the record that's like by the Lords, and it's the one that's kind of making the trance of all the women in Salem. Very creepy string instruments. It kind of gets very much under your skin. It's a very unnerving score. All of that stuff is so damn good in this movie. And I will also give credit where credit is due. This is one of those times when I watch a Rob Zombie movie and I'm like, thank God he did not go way over the top with his 70s over-the-top porno, vile, disgusting, profanity-fueled dialogue like he does in just about every other movie, where every third word is fucking cunt. This movie doesn't really have that. It's definitely got profanity here and there, but it's not so in your face to where it's just like, God, just listening to this movie makes me want to take a shower. He does good with that in this. And I will give credit to the story as well, which is also something that I've had kind of struggles with Rob Zombie, where he has this neat little concept, but just the way that he executes the story just feels like he needed somebody to punch up his writing. I think that the way he executes the story in this about this, you know, seemingly random radio DJ that gets a hold of this record in Salem, Massachusetts that's famous for witches and the Salem witch trials and all that kind of stuff, and there's this ancient curse that's going to come back to bite everybody in their ass, and it's this slow, meticulous build to these vengeful witches finally getting their day to come back and unleash hell upon Salem. Very cool story, and I feel like he executes it in a way that's not so Hollywood. Which is good. You know, if you give this to anybody else in Hollywood as far as horror directors, you'd be able to know exactly what this movie is going to bring you. But when you see Rob Zombie's name on that story, there's going to be some tricks, there's going to be some surprises in there for you to find out. And I'm pleasantly surprised there is some directions this movie goes that I wasn't expecting it to go. That's a good thing. And as my final positive, I will say Rob Zombie always has a knack for getting a really good cast for the most part. He's good at getting horror alumni in his movies. You get guys like Ken Faree, you get, you know, Dee Wallace, you get all these faces that you're gonna recognize if you're a horror fan, and they're good. It doesn't feel like cameos. It feels like they're there because they like Rob, they respect what Rob does, and they do put themselves into these roles. So that alone is cool for a horror fan to see when you walk into a Rob Zombie movie. More times than not, at least a third of the cast is going to be like, oh, check that out. Oh, look who that, they're in this movie too. But moving on to the negatives, unfortunately. While I'm talking about casting, let's go ahead and get the big one out of the way. Sheri Moon Zombie. Don't get me wrong, gorgeous woman, very cool. I think she's probably somebody that would be fascinating to talk with. I mean, she's cool as fuck, but she can't act. Every movie I see her in, I'm like, why would you? The main role, the role that the entire movie hinges upon, you're gonna give to your wife because she's your wife? Why? Honestly, that's the main thing that drags this movie down for me, is that all of this story, all the tension, all of the, you know, the way that the plot unfolds, it all hinges upon you resonating with this character of this radio DJ. And I cannot resonate with Sheri Moon Zombie because everything that she does is just piss poor acting. There's times whenever she's just acting like herself that seems natural, but that's because she's playing herself. But the times when she's in a trance or she's trying to act scared or whatever, like when she's just sitting there in the hallway doing this. I mean, fuck, I could do that for an intro of my fucking YouTube video. I mean, no. That is not talent. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be disrespectful to your wife, Rob Zombie, but stop casting her in your motherfucking movies. Get somebody that can carry your movie. Your wife is not it. Aside from that, I do remember now why that third act disappointed me, and it's because it feels like the movie just meanders so much. It does go for this kind of slow, meticulous build, but when I say slow, I don't necessarily mean that in the good sense this time. Sometimes slow is good. Sometimes that lets the tension rise. It lets you kind of marinate in this weird atmosphere for a while. And there's scenes that's like that, but the overall movie is just like, can we fucking get onto it? When are the witches gonna come back? What's gonna go on? And it just leads to this place that it's unpredictable, which is good, but when you get there, you're like, fuck, I did all that waiting for this? And beyond that, I feel like the three witches that constantly are hanging out with Sheri Moon Zombie, one of which is Dee Wallace, I don't know if it's what he was going for or not, but the way that he kind of directs their performances, I don't buy Sheri Moon Zombie, her character, not realizing that these three women are up to something fucked up. Like, how inviting they are and how strange and excited they are to meet her. And, you know they're baiting her up for something. And it doesn't, again, maybe if it was another actress playing the Sheri Moon Zombie role, it would kind of play out differently. But because it's Sheri Moon Zombie, who just can't carry a movie or really effectively portray a role in this situation, all I do is go, get out of there. Why are you hanging out with them? They're obviously fucked up. There's something going on. You played that fucked up record, now you're hanging out with these three bitches. No.
We blaspheme his Holy Spirit, and we rejoice in his suffering.
Guide this child still in the shackles of the oppressor. Help her break free from his tyrant ways.
Frustration. I'm telling you, Rob Zombie can do it. he's got things in there he does great, but just whenever he fucking messes something up, it's all I can see, because he messes up the most important parts to his movie while getting some of the coolest parts right. So nonetheless, guys, yes, The Lords of Salem, didn't love it. There's things in there that I like. There's things that I wish that Rob Zombie would hang on to the skill that he implemented in this and use it in a much better movie later on. Learn your lessons from these movies, but for my track record with Rob Zombie, and this is something to respect about him, he doesn't give a fuck if you don't like his movies. He makes the movies that he wants to make. He has a vision. He executes his vision. Just his vision never resonates with me 100%. At best, it's like 60%. And Lords of Salem is one of those 60% times. So if you're a fan of Rob Zombie, you probably already love and own this movie, so this review is absolutely pointless to you. But if you have not seen this movie, just know who you are on the Rob Zombie fence. If you hate his movies, you're probably going to hate this one, although I will encourage you to check it out for the themes and the atmosphere alone. But if you really love Rob Zombie, you already own this thing. So for my recommendation, unfortunately, I'm going to say to save your money, be patient, check this thing out whenever it comes to Netflix. So what do you guys think of The Lords of Salem? Are you a fan of this movie? Do you have the gripes that I have with it? Or do you think this is like some unsung masterpiece that people are going to recognize in 15 years as, oh my God, where'd that movie come out of? Or do you think this is another piece of trash by Rob Zombie? Put your thoughts down below in the comment section, motherfuckers. Like and share this video, hit that subscribe button, and thank you so much, Adam, for this recommendation as well as your support on Patreon. Even though I didn't love the movie, it was still fun to revisit it and figure out exactly why I didn't love this movie the first time. Now I know, and now it's stuck up here and it's on camera, so it's permanent. Please check all that stuff out, guys. Video description below for social media links, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spreadshirt for Cody Leach merchandise, and my Patreon page so you can join in the fun along with Adam and request reviews, get access to Blu-ray digital copy codes every single week. Lots of cool stuff that I do for my patrons over there. And if you want to check out some more of my videos, you can check out a few more by clicking right over here.